This is Glow in the Dark Radio. The science fiction podcast with original independent science fiction written and performed by Mike Luoma, with music by Kevin MacLeod. The Vatican Assassin Trilogy and The Adventures of Alibi Jones by Mike Luoma are available in ebook, trade paperback, and audiobook wherever you find your books online. Get links and details at glowinthedarkradio.com. This is the Science Fiction Podcast, Glow in the Dark Radio. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma, and I have Chapter 16 of Vatican Abdicator on the way on this episode. BC, Bernard Campion, has certainly gone through a lot and changed a great deal since his days as an assassin for the Pope of the new Catholic Church. He's now led humankind into the Solar Alliance, bringing humanity's different factions together in order to fight off alien threats. As BC heads towards their new outpost on the asteroid Ceres, that's C-E-R-E-S, Ceres, the new Solar Alliance waits in suspense for the next alien attack. That sets up our next chapter, Chapter 16 of Vatican Abdicator, on the way on Glow in the Dark Radio. I want to remind you, you've got maybe a week left to get yourself that free edition of Vatican Assassin, the 15th Anniversary Edition audiobook with the special cameos. That is going to be going away or going up in price, going back to its regular price of about $11, $10.99 or whatever. So I just want to give you the heads up on that. The price will be increasing, so it's probably your last chance this week or so to get yourself a free copy of that. Not at Audible, unfortunately, but at most other places you can get audiobooks, Apple, Google Play, and Kobo, the like. Just follow the link in the show notes. I've got all the places you can get it linked at a page that you can get to in the show notes through a link there. I just got hired on a new audiobook. I'm going to be narrating another self-help book for author Edgar Weiss. And so I'm looking forward to this one about healing anxious attachments. Just started working on that. I'll let you know as that one's coming out, but it's nice to still be doing audiobook narration in these days of AI voices. They seem to be taking over far too much. I want to thank my patrons for helping me keep this all going. You know who you are. I couldn't do this without the people who help by contributing a little bit each month. $2, $5, or $10 a month. And I would love to have you as a patron if you can swing it. Just head to patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio and you can sign up for $2, $5, or $10 a month and help support the podcast. Sometimes get episodes early. I think this one's going to be an early episode, I think. Putting it together a little bit early here, so should be in patrons' inboxes a little bit ahead of time. That's what I try to do. And sometimes I have special things that only patrons get. So if you'd like to be in on that kind of stuff, head over to patreon.com/glowinthedarkradio and I will hook you up. If you sign up, $2, $5, or $10 a month, again, are the patron levels. So again, patrons, thank you very much for helping to keep Glow in the Dark Radio going. All right, we're going to get into Chapter 16 of Vatican Abdicator next on Glow in the Dark Radio.
The Flesh Pulp Podcast. 3 to 10 minutes of fiction brought to you thrice weekly. 200 miles below the surface of the Earth, at the terminus of a series of long-sealed caverns and interconnected shrines, under the shadow of the eternally bleeding eye, there is a crippled wreck of a man writing tales, stories of a dimension engulfed in madness. he is writing them of you. Find them all at fleshpulp.com or search for it on iTunes.
Now here's Chapter 16 of Vatican Abdicator on Glow-in-the-Dark Radio. Ceres Central is the Solar Alliance's first official new facility. Built on the dwarf planet Ceres and the asteroids, Ceres Central is a hybrid base built for research, trade, and commerce, with a large military component also included. Once a secret project, Ceres Central is now public knowledge and open to the general public. The base is beginning to see some commercial traffic. The threats posed by Dolomay and the Eldred have hung heavy over the construction of the base. A division of SAIF Stinger ships is based at Ceres Central, squadrons kept on constant alert, and the station itself is heavily armed. Each of the 6 radial corridors that come off the central dome is protected by an anti-ship battery, armed with dual energy cannons and defensive measures powered by adapted tech stolen from the Eldred. The batteries are set in place just beyond the end of each corridor, effectively circling the dome with a ring of weaponry. Although granted mission bases on Lunar Prime, civilian Flays and Domo seem to be gravitating towards Ceres Central. BC spots several Flays and Domo commercial ships as his liner lowers into a berth at the Ceres Central port. The place looks sturdy, solid. Hope it's a good place for meetings. Can't believe I'm in charge. But who else was stepping up to do it? I want the war to end so I can quit. I've tried to make up for my past mistakes, tried to draw the Muslims and Christians together. Better to have them arguing over a book than shooting at each other and blowing each other up. Damn, flying always gives me too much time to think. Anita Capituna and a small group of high-ranking Ceres Central personnel are waiting to greet BC as he gets off the ship. Prime Representative Campion, Anita says with a curt nod, greeting BC with an outstretched hand. She seems cold, aloof. All business. Okay. BC shakes her hand. Governor Capituna, he responds. She introduces her head of security, her lieutenant governor, and 2 other bureaucrats from the project with her. An older woman and a younger Latino woman approach as BC finishes with introductions. Representative Juarez, BC says, greeting his representative for commerce. Prime Representative? The Latino woman, Commerce Rep. Juarez, answers. I'd like to introduce you to the governor of the Cat's Eye Colony, Amara Schwartz. Prime Representative Campion, a pleasure, the older woman says, shaking his hand. I'm looking forward to our meeting tomorrow, she tells him. As am I, BC responds. Could you and I meet sooner than that on another issue? Schwartz asks him. I'm not sure BC looks around for Lisa, his secretary, but she's nowhere around. My schedule is kind of booked. What does she want? Well, she starts, but she pauses. Then she starts again. This really isn't the right time or place, but... She steels herself and then says a little louder, I want to register a complaint. This should be good. It's good to be the king? Oh, BC says. I'm sorry. What is it? You, the UTZ and the project, moved a squadron of Stinger ships and men to Cat's Eye a month ago, and you never even bothered to warn us, she says, upset. I did, and no, we didn't. Cat's Eye is next to the Eldred, close to the Flays. The SAIF squadron used Cat's Eye as a staging area as they went after Dolomay. She has a point. You should have been warned, BC admits to her. But communication isn't what it should be yet in our new alliance. I am sorry. We were trying to keep the operation secret. But you should have been informed, included among those who needed to know. Everyone is scared, Prime Representative Campion. We didn't think the plague could touch us, and it did. We know Dolomay's out there, and he's damn close to Cat's Eye, too. Where do you think Dolomay will attack first if a human strike force engages him in Flays or Eldred space? It will either be us or Rigel 4, I guarantee you that. Tell me, Prime Representative, did you give any thought at all to us? The couple hundred souls who live and work on Cat's Eye for you? We're doing all we can to ensure everyone's survival, BC says, but the words ring hollow in his own ears. I'm sure she can hear that emptiness too. She looks like she wants to say something, but keeps her mouth shut. She looks BC in the eye. She breaks eye contact and turns away abruptly. She walks off, leaves BC standing in the port. Did she just snub me? Guess I deserve that. I didn't give any thought to Cat's Eye when I sent the SAIF out there. They won't be there long. No mystery why those ships are out there. But no real sign of Dolomay either. Not yet. Not where we can reach him. BC meets with the colonial representatives the next day. The governors of Cat's Eye, Crankshaft, Rigel 4, and Depot, the name change now official. Amara Schwartz is cordial and diplomatic, and she does not register a formal complaint. The press is allowed to cover the beginning of the meeting. BC intends to make it quick. He and the governors smile as they sit and nod at each other, letting the media cameramen get their footage. BC then begins with an opening statement for the media. We all appreciate the pioneering spirit of the colonies, humanity's outposts among the stars, BC says, trying to sound more impressive than he feels. We are lucky to have Ceres Central as our hub to humanity's outer reaches. We could agree to meet here at Ceres Central every 3 months, more often if necessary, to check in with each other and cover any problems and concerns the governors have, he suggests. Yeah, I like that idea, Fari Anslan of Rigel 4 says. The other governors nod their agreement. We agree. Well, looks like we're off to a great start, BC says for the press's benefit. I want to thank the media. The rest of the meetings will be private for now. Thank you. They switch off the media feed. I hope you all meant that. I did. Every 3 months at the least. Glad you weren't just acting for the cameras, Amara Schwartz comments. I know we have a limited agenda today, but next time I want to talk about repopulation. We've got empty space, lots of room, since the plague, Fari Anslan says. I'm afraid there is a lot of room everywhere, Anita responds, speaking up. Governor Capituna is right, I'm afraid, BC acknowledges. No lack of room anywhere. Have you given any thought to abolishing private property? Governor Ken Grissom of Crankshaft asks. When everyone else simply stares at him, Grissom gets defensive. What? We've talked about it on Crankshaft. I'm not looking to do anything radical, BC tells them. We've got a couple of dangerous enemies out there. They're just waiting to hit us again. We don't know where, when, or even how, so that's got to be our pressing concern. Social engineering, political experiments. We don't have the luxury of time to mess around with these things. They'll have to wait until this present danger is over and done with. I think we've pressed our luck with the political experiments and social engineering we've already been working on. We're lucky the Eldred are holding back. Lucky Dolomay is out there, not here. But neither situation will last. When will the bow break? Worry about the pressing threat? That seems wise to me, Su Chin, the governor of Depot, says. First things first. Is there anything else that needs our immediate attention? BC asks. Not really, Amara Schwartz says. The other governors agree. Well, I'm glad we could do this, meet like this, BC says. Just trying to protect our endangered species. Thanks again for meeting with me today. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you. The delegates say their thanks and farewells and depart, leaving BC and Anita alone in the conference room. Well, that went well, BC says. You think so? Anita asks. You don't? You haven't given them any thought at all, have you? Not until just now, right? Have you? Is it that obvious? Well, Anita ponders, I could see it. But I know you better than they do. And I already told you, I thought they were project branches, not colonies, so you know I wasn't paying attention to them. Touché, Anita admits. So, yeah then, I guess it went okay. Another uneasy silence erupts between them. So, BC says, you, still want to do dinner tonight? Of course, she says with an uneasy laugh. What, see you in about an hour? About an hour? Sure, yeah, right, BC answers awkwardly. I'll see you then, he almost stammers. See you then, she says. Neither of them move. Well, BC starts. Anita begins at the same time. Both stop. I'm gonna go, BC says. He ducks quickly out of the conference room. Thoughts race through his head as he walks back to his rooms. Great. I'm the ruler of the free world, and I still can't deal well with women. Or maybe it's just Anita. BC manages to find his way back to his rooms. Everything is so new here. Maybe that makes it the right place for new beginnings. BC refreshes and readies himself for dinner. He meets Anita on schedule, and they head together to one of the only restaurants open on Ceres Central. Restaurants seem to be the last commercial businesses to take off on any colony, not really viable until most of the grunt work is done. Most early colonists stick to the commissary for a cheap but healthy diet. BC and Anita find they have the restaurant, an Italian place called Giovanni's, just about all to themselves. The restaurant is decorated like an old Italian grotto, a little touch of old Earth on its newest colony, on Ceres. We try to take Earth with us, wherever we go. BC and Anita make small talk until the food arrives, comparing notes on supplies, personnel, ships. Neither says much as they eat. How's your spaghetti? Anita asks BC midway through the meal. Good, it's good, BC answers, trying not to talk with his mouth full of food. Your lasagna? Good, she replies, nodding. It's good, too. Want to try some? No, thanks, BC begs off. I'm already almost full on this spaghetti. They serve a pretty healthy portion here, huh? Yeah, Anita agrees. Good size. The conversation sputters out as they return to eating. They continue to eat in silence. You know, I kind of like the quiet. You know, BC, I sort of like this quiet, Anita says, breaking the silence. Weird. I was just thinking the same thing, BC says. I was worried that I wasn't, coming up with, something witty. Or anything, really. I'm not like a stellar conversationalist. I asked you how your spaghetti was, Anita says with a hint of self-deprecation. Dessert, the waiter says, suddenly appearing tableside. Just a coffee, BC orders. Another water, Anita tells the server. She turns back to BC. We talk all the time, BC. Sometimes it's nice to, not talk, you know? They do talk a little over coffee and water. It does feel good to relax a little, BC muses, even though I know they're out there, hanging over us, biding their time, the Eldred Dolomay. And Fiza. And fuck you, Brain, for going there now. I know what you mean. It's nice to relax, but you can't get too comfortable, Anita agrees with BC. But somehow, I've got a good feeling for some reason. I'm not usually superstitious, but I feel like they aren't going to bother us tonight. Oh, really? BC teases. What? Did you strike up some sort of side deal with them or something? If only, she laughs. Nah, it's just a feeling. The waiter brings the check over. Anita demands that they split the bill. BC starts to protest, and then decides he knows better than to argue with her. More awkwardness ensues when it's time to go. So, what are you, doing tonight? BC asks Anita as they both stand up from the table. What do you mean? She asks him. Oh, come on, that's not fair. Do you want to go get a drink or something somewhere? He manages. Sure, she agrees. She smiles a brief, crooked smile at BC. I know a place we can go. The bars were Ceres Central's first commercial establishments, thrown together just after the commissary was up and running in the colony's earliest days. Workers building the new frontier let off steam in their off hours, drinking and enjoying the entertainment in the bars. BC and Anita find a place playfully called Roids. The bar is crowded with Ceres Central colonists. Anita has to put on her best Governor Capituna smile and nod as she passes by her constituents on their way through the crowd to an open booth. BC gets off easy. No one seems to notice him. Pay no attention to the prime representative, please. That booth emptied pretty quick for us. For her. Well, Governor, rank does have its privileges, doesn't it? Once they're seated, the crowd leaves them alone. BC and Anita have a couple of drinks and talk about nothing for about an hour, and then decide to call it a night. They settle their tab and get ready to go. Walk you back to your rooms? BC offers. Sure, Anita says with a little smile. They walk together to her rooms and stop outside her door. A passing tech stops, startled. Hello, Governor. Hello, Prime Representative, she says nervously. She ducks her head and trundles off down the corridor. For some reason, I feel awkward. Anita and BC watch her go. Anita turns to BC. Hurry up and come in, she chides BC playfully. They step inside her rooms. When the door closes behind them, Anita steps up to BC, puts her arms up around his shoulders, and looks him in the eye. You know, BC, there are times I like being a public figure. I like being in a position where I can help people, do good, all that. But I like to step out of you, too. Get out of the public eye. Don't you? Yeah, BC manages. She wrinkles her forehead. Oh, that was smooth. She plants a kiss on him anyway. He draws her in and they connect with some kind of electricity, once again charging the air between them. BC feels supercharged. Anita leans into him, on him. They draw apart after a few minutes. Wow, BC says. You know, Anita shushes him with a finger to his lips. No more talking, she says. She takes him by the hand and leads him to the bedroom, pulls him over to her, next to her bed. They kiss again, and it slowly transforms into carnal lovemaking. Later, BC watches Anita sleep. A Latino angel. BC thinks about the first time he saw her, after knocking her out with a hatch cover in a supply room on Lunar Prime, ages ago. Even when she was trying to kill me, there was something about her. That was Chapter 16 of Vatican Abdicator on Glow in the Dark Radio. BC and Anita finally getting a little time alone together, at last, and getting a little chance to enjoy each other's company, finally. A little break from the war, the colonies, and everything else. The pressures of command, I suppose. So what could go wrong, right? We will find out in our next episode. Hope you join me next time as we get into Chapter 17 of Vatican Abdicator. A reminder that the Vatican Assassin 15th Anniversary Edition audiobook with the special cameos, which has been free, is going to be going back up to regular price in just a week or two. So if you want to take advantage of that, please do. And I got hired to do a new audiobook, so I'm narrating a book about healing anxious attachments for author Edgar Weiss. So I'll let you know as that gets finished and out. And again, a big thank you to patrons for helping keep the podcast going. You do. That's all I can say is thank you. And I hope you're enjoying this early episode. We'll get into Chapter 17 next time. I'm your host, your writer and reader, Mike Luoma. Thank you again for listening to Glow in the Dark Radio. Glow in the Dark Radio. This podcast presentation is copyright 2023 by Michael F. Luoma and is protected under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License, CC by NC-ND 4.0. Music by Kevin MacLeod. You can find his work at Incompetech.com. Mike's books are available in ebook, paperback, and audiobook, wherever you find books online. Get links and more details at glowinthedarkradio.com and mikeluoma.com. This has been a presentation of Glow in the Dark Radio.